The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is a 1988 film directed by Philip Kaufman, starring Daniel Day-Lewis and Juliette Binoche. Oh, that's the unbearable lightness of being? Did I watch the wrong movie again? Oh no. Following the career of Nicolas Cage can be a wild journey. There are a few films where he gives serious, understated performances, movies like Joe and Pig. Then there are surreal films where he goes over the top, but it's appropriate. Art house movies like Wild at Heart, Mandy, and Color Out of Space. There are cult films like Vampire's Kiss and The Wicker Man, where his performance is so unusual that it's become a meme.
I couldn't think of a more horrible job if I wanted to. And you have to do it. You have to, or I'll fire you. Do you understand? Not the beast! Ah! Open my eyes! My eyes! Ah!
There are a wide array of action films from the 90s and early 2000s. Con Air, Face Off, The Rock, National Treasure. These are the films that mainstream audiences know Nicolas Cage for. They're not thinking of his performance in Bad Lieutenant, Port of Call, New Orleans, where he smokes crack and harasses the elderly.
Where is he?
Then there's a bunch of low-budget, direct-to-video trash that Cage has appeared in, where he's a parody of his former self. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent has a few scenes where Nicolas Cage is playing Nicolas Cage playing Nicolas Cage, if that makes any sense. In his imagination, the older Cage interacts with the younger, Wild at Heart era movie star Nicolas Cage, who is known for quirky and exaggerated performances. The Nicolas Cage of this film is trying to be a serious actor. He's a family man. He tries to get his teenage daughter into the cabinet of Dr. Caligari and fails.
And you liked it, right? I mean, you liked the painted sets and the makeup.
No, I did not.
He gets turned down for a role because he reads the lines poorly. He's kind of in a rut.
And if that's the last thing I accomplish on this beautiful green earth, well then, ha! I say, ha! What a way to fucking go!
Then he accepts an invitation to perform at the birthday party for Pedro Pascal's character, who is a gun runner. So Cage is approached by the CIA with a mission to save an abducted girl, and the movie becomes a parody of one of those direct-to-video Cage films, with a stock storyline, bad costumes, and cheesy action. Pedro Pascal's performance was probably my favorite part of the movie. Even though there was all this wackiness going on, his character was sincere and straight, which actually made him one of the funnier aspects. Most of the jokes didn't land for me. For example, there's a drug trip scene where Pedro Pascal and Nicolas Cage get really paranoid, but it's the most rudimentary kind of joke that one could make when planning a drug trip scene. It's basically them being like, "Hey, why does that guy over there keep looking at us?" Then they spend all this time trying to climb over a wall when they could have just walked around. It's like the same story anybody that has ever tripped will tell you. It had the potential to be a more visually creative and humorous scene. The level of humor is Nicolas Cage saying, "Zip it good," Tiffany Haddish referencing Croods 2, Neil Patrick Harris cursing a little.
It's not like he's gonna want you to suck his dick or fuck his wife or watch him fuck his wife.
I wouldn't think so.
This is not my style of humor, but the action in the film isn't special either. The action isn't supposed to be great because it's a parody of bad action. This is a great example of how you can't make a self-aware so bad it's good movie. Some of the best so bad it's good movies were made by filmmakers trying to make a good movie and failing in hilarious ways. There are also cult films that were always too bizarre for mainstream audiences that are sometimes placed in this category as well. But this film is not great, it's not bad, it's not so bad it's good. Some people might say it's good but not great. I say it's average. I don't think The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is very funny, the action is purposefully lame, and it's not quite as witty as the critics would have you believe either. Even though this is a film where Nicolas Cage plays himself, it doesn't really incorporate the meta concept in any deep or meaningful way. Nicolas Cage turned this movie down several times until the director, Tom Gormican, wrote him a letter. When asked what his most difficult performance was, Cage responded that it was this movie.
The hardest role I've ever done would be the one that I'm talking about, Massive Talent. To play yourself or some version of so-called Nick Cage in a comedy was a bit of a high wire act for me.
When questioned about his favorite performance, he went with Pig.
My favorite Nicolas Cage film is Pig. I thought it was like a folk song. I thought it was like a haiku.
The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is Gormican's second film. His first film was called That Awkward Moment, originally titled, Are We Officially Dating? And yeah, I'm not watching that, it looks terrible. The critic consensus called it formulaic and unfunny, which I could say about this movie as well, although it's not entirely unfunny, or entirely formulaic. I thought The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent had a lot of potential, a movie where Nicolas Cage plays a version of himself, and there are a bunch of references to the wide variety of films, both good and bad, that he starred in. This movie just didn't end up being anywhere near as funny or creative as it could have been. Nicolas Cage and his biggest fan become buddies and plan on making an action movie together, so the movie turns into a formulaic action movie from the 80s or 90s. Even though it's a meta concept, it has none of the brilliant writing of Adaptation, another Nicolas Cage meta movie, although that one was written by Charlie Kaufman, so perhaps it's an unfair comparison to even suggest. Even though this is an action film, it's plain Jane action. Some car chases, some shootouts, nothing to write home about. Dear Mom and Dad, I watched a movie about Nicolas Cage. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. Hope you're doing well, love ya. Despite the film's awareness of fans' love for the actor going comically over the top, there aren't really any top-tier Nick Cage freakout moments to be added to his body of work. The Unbearable Weight of Massive Talent is an amusing film, but not a laugh-out-loud one. The comedy isn't smart enough or stupid enough. It's very middle of the road. This isn't going to be an offensive movie for a mainstream audience, but as a Nicolas Cage superfan myself, it doesn't do much for me. I don't find myself wanting to rewatch it. I think Cage should just stick to weirdo art house horror.
Mandy is a masterpiece.
I'm feeling somewhere between 5 and 6, and I'm gonna stick with a 5 and say this is just an average movie where the comedy doesn't really work for me. It's too much of a formulaic Hollywood approach. Feels like it's trying to be an action comedy blockbuster, and it's just not doing it for me. But, speaking of being massively talented, I'm actually opening up my own university, where you too can learn to become unbearably large and massively great. This is like The Matrix, and I'm like Neo. Just call me Neo Leo. So you've heard about the red pill, and the blue pill, and the black pill, and the white pill, and the purple pill, and the pink pill, but have you heard about being lion-pilled? All you have to do is acquire Leo gems by clicking on my videos. Or you can skip the videos altogether and purchase Leo gems directly. I suggest a bundle of 10,000. Leo gems can then be easily converted into fine coins. Every 1,000 Leo gems gets you 1 fine coin. The fine coin market is not at all volatile or unstable. It's a 100% completely secure financial decision. Now, convert your fine coins into bored asshole NFTs. There are all kinds to choose from. Find the one that suits you best. The bored asshole NFT is a receipt to a digital image that you might own the rights to, unless you lose it in a phishing scam. It's 100% worthless and also contributes to climate change. Get your bored asshole NFT today.